And I mean, they've already ruined it in the previous seasons. Yennefer has been destroyed since season 2. I tried to go back to season 3 and watch the the Isle of Thanedd thing, and I'm like, this isn't even the story. Like, I'll give up.
Would you say that it could rest in piss?
Stop.
What does that mean?
There's a horrible scene. I'll just take a moment to say this in the TV show where, for whatever reason, Fringilla Vigo is being tortured. It didn't happen. She's being tortured with like weird tentacle stuff. She caves, and Will's favorite trope when torture works, she gives up the information that he's looking for. And then Vilgefortz is like, "Is that so hard?" And then in the captions, you see like tinkling sounds. In my head, I'm like, surely she's not peeing right now. And Vilgefortz smirks, looks at her, and says, "Rest in piss." He does like a Batman swoosh after he says it too. Rest in piss.
Who wrote that line and then was like, yeah, this fits with the rest of it?
The sound I made alone in my room, I was like, ah!
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm doing the intro because Val will for sure have made me put in a cold open into this, and I know she will because she'll find it later without complaint, right, Val?
That's right.
Wait a second. Hold on. Well,
no, we just started this. What we're doing today is Baptism of Fire by Andrzej Sapkowski. It is the third or fourth Witcher book. I forget because there's the two.
There's
third,
the fifth.
It's the third in the novel series, but it's the fifth technically.
This one coincides with the release of season 4 of the wonderful masterpiece of wigs that is The Witcher on Netflix, and covers the same events. And Val actually suffered through it to bring to us comparisons.
The Witcher season 4 in one night. Poor Chris, I was sending her like snippets of it. I'm like, oh, this is so bad. Yeah, I did just for this.
She
should have watched it just for this. Then I didn't even think of doing that, but I saw a screenshot of Yennefer and the new actor, who I actually like as an actor, but in this role, and I saw it, and I was like, ew. Like, not that I love Henry Cavill, don't get me wrong, that's still not like Geralt or anything, but
Henry Cavill at least has nerd cred. Liam Hemsworth has no nerd cred. He's just
Henry
American,
Cavill's way hotter,
but actually Australian,
at least.
Okay,
anyway.
So yes, I'm going to just apologize right off the bat. I am sick for the 8th day in a row now, so my energy will be low. I will be depending on the interns for much of this. So,
oh, yes, me, the
Katie's
intern.
an intern now.
Katie, the intern, and
Val,
I don't know.
You're not even an intern at this point either. He just likes using that moniker as a
he's rude,
bit, and that's totally fine. But more emotionally, importantly,
it's not a
you are
comedic
not an
bit.
intern. You could never be an intern.
It's not a comedic bit. It's a way of maintaining power and dominance. Okay,
which is
yes,
also
so not
a comedic bit.
Come on, guys. Please.
In this book, mostly what happens is that we get our first real quest narrative out of the series, where Geralt goes on a road trip with some buddies, and it's weird because up until this point, the plot had really kind of been building to these big political machinations. There was a big battle and war in the last book. It ends in a weird spot, which we're gonna have to talk about. But
yeah, we are.
You're in this book, you're like, okay, Geralt's ready. He's going to go save his foster child, Ciri, and then he just kind of goes on a road trip for most of the book. And I liked it. I don't know that it's the best place to have taken the series, but I just enjoyed reading it. It's just nice to read. It was pleasant. I didn't find myself impatient with it. I'm not really sure why. I think it's just that, these are such pleasant characters to read about doing things that The other thing is I didn't really want to get to Ciri's storyline because it was dark, so I didn't mind that we didn't get there.
Does Val, do you want me to go next, or Val, do you
go
want
for
to
it,
go next?
Katie?
Okay. I'll just say this. I'll say my 3 main points for the book, which are very succinct. Number 1, I did think it was weird that we didn't start with Ciri. That was super weird after having a focus on her afterwards, or not even a major focus throughout the novel. Did I want to have that part? No, I agree with Will. Did not want to explore that. Seemed really depressing. Should we have maybe explored that part for balance? Mayhaps. I don't know. I think you can get away with it not. I think it's very good as is. However, I do think it's weird. Second thing, I I think the reason why Will really enjoyed it, and I could be wrong, but I know the reason why I enjoyed it, despite its meandering, as maybe somebody might negatively moniker it, is that it shows you different perspectives of war, but not from the perspective of somebody actively in the war fighting it. And because of that, there's a lot less action scenes, which makes it less quote unquote exciting or invigorating. But it still shows you interesting, true quality of character in the characters that it brings forth. And so seeing how something such as a large war might affect those characters that are so unique in this scenario, which brings everybody together, is super fun. Loved that part. That was super awesome. And my third and final point is that the only thing I found to be trifling in this novel is when I felt like the author lingered a little bit too much on the banality of explanation. That's not a word, but of soliloquying an explanation. And really the only place where that really happened badly was towards the end, which I've already complained about, which we'll get to at some point, but we don't have to like linger on. It's because it's so forgivable by comparison to everything else. The only thing I felt like at the end of this novel is I was like, okay, Ciri's super important. She's going through a lot. Feel like maybe we should have explored her character like differently. I loved the omniscient narrator in certain places. It really added like a certain quality that's super special to The Witcher. And I just really wish maybe we'd gotten that tone over with Ciri's story. Besides that, otherwise, that's my opinion. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Were there actually, sorry, before I get into my spiel, were there omniscience parts? I feel like usually we were in someone's head, even if it's not someone we're familiar with.
A few. Just a few very small parts. Like, for example, when Dandelion, like, particularly when Dandelion was being a dumbass, like, for some weird reason, in particular in this book, he seems particularly dumb in some places. And
we'll get to it, yeah.
Oh, wait, Will, your audio.
Oh,
I was just saying that I was with Dandelion. I also needed them to say the thing they weren't not saying so that we could understand what they were saying.
That's fair. That is also fair. But yeah, no,
very
there's
quickly,
just like a few
before
parts
we keep going, Chris had said, seriously, it's the last lighthearted novel in the series.
The
even with all
last
the war atrocities.
Oh my god.
Yes, it gets much darker.
Traumatizing, guys.
It's very much character-focused book. The plight of the displaced commons with all the confusion and lack of info about the greater events happening in the world. Yeah, it very much focuses on that kind of like the normal man thing that Sapkowski has always done very well and woven in throughout the series. But Val, your thoughts?
I adore this book. As I've said before, Regis is one of my favorite characters. I just love that guy to pieces. I can't wait to talk to him as we get into it. And there's sort of like three main, I'll call them perspectives. There's the traveling company perspectives. There's kind of Dijkstra and like the spy stuff, which I kind of clump in with the sorceresses and their spy stuff. And then there's Ciri and the rats, which we get little snippets of here and there. And the traveling, Geralt and his traveling gang are by far the most fun to be around in this book. And it's just such a joy to meet all the characters. And slowly, like, this book isn't about, it's not really, there's not much of a plot in this book. It's just about Geralt kind of learning to accept that these people want to help him. And they are helping him for their own reasons. They have their own. There's a quote I'll read later that Regis says near the end, but like, we're doing this because we have shit that we're dealing with too. We want to help you and Ciri, but this is also about us. So stop pushing us away, essentially. And that's basically like the one change that happens throughout this book. Like that's the main arc for Geralt, is just accepting that these people care about him and want to go on this journey with him. And I love it. I think it's a blast to read. I used to I didn't dislike her, but Milva was kind of underwhelming to me the first time I read it. But I liked her a lot better this time. Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm curious. Wait. Can I ask a question real quick? If you're done with your review.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I would like to just, out of curiosity, ask each person's favorite and least favorite character in this novel.
Just starting in like William, the company Val, or and then everyone?
Oh, no, everybody that's described. Everybody that gets screen time. I would really love to hear that from Will and you.
Regis,
Yennefer.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, I also really like him a lot. But continue. Oh wait. So let's continue with Val. Val, wait. Your favorite is Regis. You said.
Yeah, I mean, Yennefer is one of my favorite female characters in fantasy of all time, but she's barely on page in this one, so it's gotta be Regis.
Doesn't matter. Yennefer is still my favorite.
Wait, so is Yennefer your favorite in this novel still?
I mean, I'm sort of joking, but because she's not in the novel, really.
Okay, so wait, let's just presume then
if
that
we're
you
talking
really...
about in the company, I thought Tindillion this time around was really funny, and what either the
really
dwarf
funny.
or the gnome I liked a lot. Yeah.
Oh, Percival. Percival's fun.
I can't remember which is which, but they like the two of them together as a duo. I thought was really funny.
Okay, well, now let me ask Val, what's your least liked character?
I don't know. I love them all. Don't make me say
up.
that.
What is this?
Geralt is kind of like a sad sack, I guess, but like
He is a bit of a sad sack. I do.
He's
like
got
that
a
you
lot going
mentioned
on.
that. Oh, what about you, William? Least liked character?
Milva.
Ooh.
Yeah. No.
Can I say why?
She's not the worst character, but she is the most broadly drawn archetype of a female character that Sapkowski has had, and at times I find her really annoying. We'll talk about this later, but one comment I had read had talked about how the translation from Polish to English actually does her character very dirty, because Polish she has a way of speaking that's extremely rural and uses a lot of like not slang exactly, but yeah, or like it's very much of a specific time and place, whereas you don't get that in English. And so in English, she doesn't quite have, and you can kind of feel that, I think, a little bit around the edges of how she talks sometimes. There is almost a certain like forestiness about her that I could see that maybe in a different linguistic, in the original.
That's interesting.
But we should jump into the plot.
Yeah. We start the book with Milva's perspective. We're introduced to her. She is a young woman. She grew up in a hunting family, and after I think one of her brothers died, her father taught her how to use a bow and arrow, and eventually her father died, and she ran away from home. Just started hunting for money. Got caught up in Brocklon Forest where the Dryads are, and she got lucky. They didn't kill her, and she's been working for them essentially throughout the war efforts. It's fun, I think, being in her head a little bit, because she just sort of meanders about these are the different kinds of bows, and we like this kind of bow, and this kind of bow is good. And you can immediately get a this lady knows her bows. She's really good at what she does.
It's almost as though for people who are ADHD, they find her relatable.
And the head, I forget what her name is, the head of the Dryads essentially is like, so Milva, you're going to be working with Geralt. He's healing up here. You're essentially going to be doing spy work for him. He needs you. And she's like, I don't want to. I don't know this guy. I don't trust him. And that's sort of where the book starts off. And they slowly she begrudgingly becomes fond of him, even though, she's been taught not to trust people, because she is kind of a spy for the squirrels, essentially, and the Dryads, and has considered herself a Dryad for a long time.
And the big reason why she does come to trust Geralt, it's because at first, of course, she's more of like first of all, you're alluded to the fact that she has something else on her mind that's bothering her, and it doesn't come up till the end, so I won't mention it. But it very briefly comes up for 10 seconds, where she's like, I have my own worries and my own concerns and my own decisions to make about something. And then she's like, meanwhile, I'm being asked about this. Not that she talks to you, the viewer, in a fourth wall breaking standard, but more along the lines of talking to herself. And the really big break in their relationship between the trust, or maybe not trust, but more of her, Milva, being more like, oh, you're not a butthole. Maybe I'll like you as a person, as a human being. He shows genuine emotional connection with, because she has a huge misunderstanding between why she wants news on Ciri, on why he wants news on Ciri abroad and everything like that. And she even at one point thinks that which I think is kind of wild in my opinion. I guess maybe, but Ciri's how old is she right now? She's what, 15?
15, 16? maybe?
Yeah, 15, 16. How old is Geralt? Or how old does he look? He's got to look older. Like, in his 40s.
I don't know.
And then Milva's just like, oh, you want to go rescue your lady love? And I'm just like, why? I mean, I guess I get it. Like, who else would you go out of your way that far for? I get it, somebody you love, but it's the wrong love. And it's just like, anyway, she very quickly abandons.
She doesn't know him
concept.
though, so like she's just like, maybe this guy wants his weird little princess girl. I don't know. And then he like expresses genuine emotion, like Katie said, and like he's like really like distraught because Geralt's main thing in this is I failed my daughter.
Yeah.
Like this girl who is supposed to be my destiny, she is lost somewhere and I need to make it right. Like this is his quest and he feels like he needs to do it alone because he fucked this up. And Milva sees that and is like, oh shit. There's also just a couple of funny lines where they're like Geralt says something like, I'm sorry you're putting yourself in danger, like for getting all this intel for me. And she's like, what? Because I'm a woman? And he's like, no, just because I care about people. What?
But that's also
there's also some stuff left over from the last book. We're not going to be able to recap everything that's happened to this point, but just to catch people up who maybe don't remember as much. What had happened is at the end of the last book, there was a big meeting of sorcerers and sorceresses, and they got double-crossed by Nilfgaard and the Nilfgaard-aligned sorcerer people. And Ciri got teleported away, and nobody knows where. And Geralt got beat up, and that's why he's healing a broken lawn. Nobody knows where Yennefer is. And now the magical community is also in disarray, and Nilfgaard invaded a bunch of places, and they're still going into
and like
war.
Chris M said over here, a series 14 actually.
Yeah, so even younger, but nonetheless, like the point is it's comical in the presupposition that Milva has at the beginning. And it's very negligible though too. It's because she's just like trying to poke holes in him when she first meets him until she realizes, oh wow, this man is truly very, very, very injured. Perhaps hobbled forever.
Yeah, like Geralt at this point is disabled.
Desperate.
Like it's not going to get better. His leg is fucked up. Like
that sucks, man. Oh, imagine if they implemented that in game where like you always had. Anyway, that's fine. Continue.
Anyway, so at the next point, at a certain point, like Geralt and Milva have sort of like a respect. And he's like, do you trust your sources? She's like, I don't trust anyone. We switch to Dijkstra's perspective, and he is working on writing a letter to Philippa Eilhart because he's like, oh, that Geralt, he screwed me over. He embarrassed me in front of my allies. I look like an idiot now because Geralt fucked up Dijkstra at the Isle of Thanet when the whole coup thing was happening. And Dijkstra is like, oh, God, I got to get back in good graces with Philippa. So he's working on this letter. Another spy from Nilfgaard comes in. Like it's spy machinations. I'm not going to linger on it too much.
Dijkstra is the spy master guy who actually is one of my favorite characters.
He's great.
He's so funny because he's just like the middle manager of evil, kind of like a feeling.
Oh my gosh, that's a great term for him.
Yeah,
the middle manager.
There's like a hilarious bit. I'm not going to like read the whole thing, but like there's a hilarious moment when this spy from Nilfgaard comes in and Dijkstra's talking to him, and Dijkstra's thinking in his head, he's like, this guy is one of those assholes who just like talks like he went to university in the most obnoxious way possible, like pompous scholarly stuff. And Dijkstra's like, I went to school and I can keep up with him, but I wasn't like the master of letters or anything. And the spy is like, Dijkstra, what should I call you these days? Your title seems to change wherever. So he like lists off a bunch of titles, and Dijkstra's just like, Your Majesty would probably be best. it's so funny. There's just so many good like little snippets of comedy in these.
Val is not wrong. That is one thing that this book really, again, even despite there being like very few, but nonetheless quite structure burdening moments of like lull where it's just like there's nothing happening. It doesn't really matter. It's because there are these inherent like looks into different specific personality types that are very unique and fun to explore. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out.
Load bearing.
Sure, load bearing.
So after this scene with Dijkstra where, you know, he's doing all his middle management stuff, as Will said, we go back to Geralt, who is as recovered as he's going to be, essentially. And he's like, I need to go to Nilfgaard to get Ciri. I'm going this way. And he runs into Milva and he's like, hey, girl, I'm going this way. And she's like, are you crazy, man? That's where all the war is happening. You're going to get killed. And he's like, I'm going. And she's like, you're an idiot. See ya. And Geralt gets on his way. And
and she like is like, fine, I guess I'll follow.
Yes.
Which again, I felt in terms of her characterization, especially at the beginning, it was just very broad. Like, I'm a tough girl.
I see what Will means in this regard. If it were not for this fatal flaw, which I would say is fatal, it's because it's the whole linchpin of why she's even there to begin with. I think I would probably buy more into her character, but it is true. I agree with Will. Even later on, like, it's supposed to be a mystery almost the way it's framed. It's because the way we get the framing of the story at the beginning is we get Milva hunting an animal, and each time there's like a lull in the hunt for whatever reason, whether it is she's waiting for the pull of the arrow, or whether she's waiting for the animal to go about. And like, there are these little really cool details that make her a really cool character in and of themselves. We get this idea that there's a reason she has gone on this beyond. Like, it kind of like almost, I can't help but say, inherently kind of pushes itself towards like she's a little in love with him, which is a little like, that's not unexpected.
Yeah, and Katie, I agree with you, and I had that confusion the first time I read these. Like, similar, I wasn't a huge Milva fan the first time I read these because it takes you a while to warm up to her character, and I also thought, oh, good, another girl who's just kind of in love with Geralt.
Yeah.
Like, but this time I'm like, I don't really think that's the case. I think they're just friends, and it's just phrased a little awkwardly sometimes, and my brain, processed it wrong. This time I'm enjoying Milva a lot more. I don't doubt for a second it's a translation thing. Like,
maybe she heard about how Witcher's fire blanks, and all of a sudden she's very interested in them.
Wait, can I make I would like to. Can I have a slight spoiler part for her later?
Well,
I think so. At this point, I don't think anybody's
like. You
like.
want to get into it when it gets there too, so not the whole thing, but.
Yeah, I just want to mention. So Milva, as we later understand, that thing I alluded to before where she's concerned, but it literally comes up for 5 seconds, is that she's pregnant. And later on, she has to make a decision. Does she want to keep this baby or let it go? And there's a moment where she comes a little bit, she's forthcoming in her feelings, and she says, so, I made this decision. And I think Geralt says this, or something like that, like presuming her feelings. And it's like, you ran off to save a child for the child that you were going to like basically forgo or whatever. And that's the way and in the end ended up taking it. And I kind of understood it that way in a really understandable sense. Like, it's like, no, I don't want a child. I don't want one. My lifestyle doesn't provide for one, and I don't have somebody I truly love. And therefore, I do not want this child. However, that I feel like there needs to be an equal exchange of that loss for another type of survival of the, like, innocence type of thing. And so therefore, I'm going to help this other person. So that really does, I felt, that helped me understand her the most.
Yeah, and that's entirely correct, Katie. And I think every single person in Geralt's company feels that they are doing this because of something that a wrong that they have done in the past.
Yeah.
Like, and we can go through them all as we like introduce the characters, but you're absolutely correct.
But just the thing is, you don't know this till later, and so it feels like it's doing this through like a kind of annoying, like, I'm gonna hang around the hot around the hot guy kind of feeling. And so that I didn't love at first, but it's also not the worst thing.
Mm-hmm. And so before we get back to Geralt and the gang, we have a brief interlude of the a bunch of sorceresses meeting together. And I love this scene so much. It's so funny.
As a woman, do you want to speak on this?
I adore the way the sorceresses are written, like politically, and just like the series sorceresses are so great. Because I think it's like Triss and Philippa and Kira at first, and they're like about
Kira
to sort of
northern.
Yeah, she's the one that Geralt kind of like who broke her leg at the coup. She's in the game.
Oh,
she's
yeah,
blonde.
no, not her. I was thinking of the. They also have like don't they have another sorceress from Nilfgaard?
Yeah, there's a shit ton. I'll introduce them as much as I can. I'm not going to remember all their names, but so there's like Philippa, Triss, and Kira, I think, are the ones waiting, and they're looking through this sort of like portal where the Nilfgaardian sorceresses are about to come through, and they're just so catty because Nilfgaardian sorcerers. The thing about them is they Nilfgaard doesn't like their sorcerers to get too powerful, so they're not allowed to be beautiful. Their clothes are all frumpy. Like one of them is just straight up wearing a stupid little witch hat. And the girls are so catchy, like, oh, thank God, Toad. Can you imagine if Nilfgaard wins and we end up looking like those freaks? Oh my God. It's so, and they're like, shh, they're coming. And then they come like, hi, girls. So nice of you to show up. Oh my God. It's just, and then the elf sorceresses show up too. It's a whole like little company. And I don't remember. I think it's Philippa who's sort of talking to them and it's like, ladies, we've all been spies for different people. We've all been, going under the table, catty with each other, lying. We have our own allegiances. I think it's time we all band together, girl boss style, and just answer to each other. We deserve to have power. The future of magic is like, it's at
and
risk.
One of them, the other one's like, but didn't we just do this and it didn't go poorly? And she's like, yes, but that's because that had the inclusion of men. This new organization will not have men.
Boys allowed.
Exactly. We're not going to be sexist and say it's because they're dumber, but that is the reason.
Yes, it is. And I actually love that he portrays it in the way that he does. The author, I mean. He really shows it, not in a caricature of itself, although it does definitely toe the line. But it's just within reason of true derision for how men have screwed us over. That it's
God.
All I hear is
they're
Autobots.
Not fighting for like suffragettes. Okay, they were doing fine in the old organization.
Steel Magnolias. We are telling the story of the women that need to be in power. And the point is this. The point is this, guys. I tried to draw Will.
Look,
actually just now
tarts
to
throwing swords is no
woman,
basis for a form of government.
Can I read a couple of snippets from this conversation?
Please do.
Please do.
One person asked a question like, why no men? Blah, 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 blah. Shouldn't this person be here? Because they are men, Philippa replied. This organization will consist exclusively of women. I withdraw my question. That answer satisfies me. This smacks of female chauvinism, Sabrina Glevsig said with a sneer, particularly coming from your lips, Philippa, after your change in sexual orientation. They're so catty with each other.
I know.
Like, they keep going. They talk about how men are just, they can't be trusted under pressure. They're, they're just too emotional. And then like another person like chimes in and is like, please, ladies, we're above talking about, intellectualism in terms of gender like this. Let's not stoop to their level. It's so funny. It's so funny.
But let's not invite them either. That's going to
be
this
is a girl boss power club only.
That's what's called. Well, that's why I love the name of it, which I don't know what the translation version of it is. And if it's not the Lodge verbatim, I'm going to be upset because the Lodge is literally, I don't know if you guys know the Moose Lodge, regardless of like American cultural stuff, the Lodge is definitely very masculine coded. It's because it's like, oh, where are we going? We're going to the Lodge to go hunt for moose and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it is...
It feels that way to us, but I don't know that it would feel that way to Sapkowski.
That's why I'm saying, like, the translation. I'm curious what the translation actually is, but it does work that way.
And if we could read Chris's thing.
Which one? That one?
It was only Asira at the first meeting, the ugly Nilfgaardian, which is more of an academic prejudice in Nilfgaard, where mages, think dolling yourself up is a sign of you're
Chris
kind of
is
stupid.
really drawing the lines that it was an academic prejudice.
Purely. There's actually a funny scene later because one of them shows up. We're in the perspective of a Nilfgaardian sorcerer shows up for like the second meeting, and it's like she didn't think that it was going to be the stereotype of northern sorceresses as being orgy obsessed, crazy
with
sexual
the
women.
Stuff and everything. That was funny.
But when she showed up and there were no slaves with nipple rings, she breathed a sigh of relief. It was so funny.
It's so funny. I love it. And can I just slight soapbox moment here in the show, because
This is going to be in the thumbnail, so go ahead. Tell us how
Did you see how like serious I became? Continue.
Yes, the showrunner ruined the sorceresses so much. She like sapped all of like the cattiness and all of the like the intelligent political machinations out of it. It's all about Yennefer, because Yennefer's the best that ever was, you guys. In fact, it was Yennefer's idea to start this all-girl sorceress lodge, and they all agree with her because Yennefer's the best and the brightest of all. And everyone's like, yes, Yennefer, you are the most powerful. We should start an all-girls club to protect Ciri. And I'm just like, this is so boring. Why are you ruining my girls?
Well, and it's such a fundamental principle of Sapkowski's world that everybody's in it for their own, like, not gain, but kind of they're all running their own side hustle, essentially, is how you feel like about people in his world. And that this is very much, and this plotline will very much be about, like, jockeying for power and who should be able to control what's going on. So to just make it about Yennefer and Ciri is like
belittling.
It's belittling. And to the character's agency to a certain extent.
That's true.
It's like they're now people in a book instead of they're more NPC and less genuine actors.
And we'll talk about it more later when Yennefer actually does show up when the second all sorceresses meeting. But like this book lets Yennefer like eat shit, and she like the show just doesn't do that. It like takes away like all of the potential for her to have like a character moment just because she's the biggest badass ever. And
if she didn't have the moment that she has later on in this book where she finally comes about, which we'll get to, of course, inevitably, it would have like the previous book, you would have felt betrayed as a viewer and reader. So I'm curious how that watching experience is, because I would have felt betrayed not having her grow past that narcissism that she has.
And I mean, they've already ruined it in the previous seasons. Yennefer has been destroyed since season 2.
Fair.
Like
I haven't watched any of it almost. So
I tried to go back to season 3 and watch the Isle of Thanedd thing, and I'm like, this isn't even the story. Like I'll give up. So
would you say that it could rest in piss?
Stop.
What does that mean?
Katie, there's a horrible scene. I'll just take a moment to say this in the TV show that I sent to poor Chris at like 1 in the morning my time, and Will, where for whatever reason Fringilla Vigo is being tortured. It didn't happen, and I know Chris, I'm so sorry. And, like she's being tortured with like weird tentacle stuff. Vilgefortz is torturing her with weird tentacles. She's like
so
making awful sounds. Yes, but then and then she caves at Will's favorite trope, when torture works. She gives up the he's looking for, and then Vilgefortz is like, "Is that so hard?" And then in the captions you see like tinkling sounds, and then Vilgefortz, and in my head I'm like, surely she's not peeing right now. And Vilgefortz smirks, looks at her, and says, "Rest in piss," and then turns away into the darkness. I know, Katie, it's not funny. I know. The sound I made alone in my room, he does like a Batman swoosh after he says it.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Who wrote that line and then was like, yeah, this fits with the rest of it?
The sound I made alone in my room, I was like, ah!
Oh, that's what we're up against, ladies.
First of all, we can't even get into it because we're talking about the book.
I know.
But
I did have to subject you guys.
No, we're talking about both because in the thumbnail, at least, I'll have.
We want to get those views.
That's such bad writing. It's so dumb. The thing is I thought you were at least going to say, and I did think this, by the way. I genuinely thought you were going to say she was going to get herself out of the trap at the very least, and that she was going to scare him into peeing himself or something, and then she was going to be like, huh, and that's how cheesy it was going to be. But it's even worse than that, because it means a character submitting just like it's just all wretched,
and it's even more stupid. It's even more stupid because he just like leaves her there, and she's like, "Oh God, I just got tortured and gave him up," and then she just escapes and she's fine.
You know what I'm saying?
Really?
No. That was a kink that somebody liked. Somebody liked the kink of tentacle porn with peeing oneself. And unfortunately, somebody okayed that when it came to the TV screen, because they too also were like, oh, as they were reviewing the editing process, they were like, oh, this is kind of good. and they okayed it. And then when it went on the big screen, both that guy and the person who directed it and potentially other people were just like, yeah, that's kind of good. And then
I'll
that was
send
about
you
it.
the clip after this, Katie, so you can watch it in all its glory.
The kink you're thinking of is referred to as golden tentacles. Okay, so back to the book.
Back to the story. So we're back with Geralt.
So basically, she's like, okay, we're going to start this lodge up, and it's only going to be for women because women are great. And they're like, okay. And then one of the elven witches is like, I have another sorceress I'll bring next time that we're going to cut to the B plot. So now we go back to Geralt in the A plot. They have to go through a war-torn area, and that's going to be a lot of this book is him traveling with a little troop through a war-torn area. I do not remember what it is or what it's called.
I can briefly summarize this part. So it's Geralt and Dandelion together, and Milva shows
And
up.
it's my favorite character too.
Okay, here.
Only for a minute.
No, he's not my favorite character. Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry.
Zoltan.
Zoltan Shivet.
Yes,
but we'll get there in
great.
a minute. So first, it's Geralt and Dandelion. They're wearing like dryad cloaks in the rain, like just trying to get through this war-torn area. Geralt is convinced that Dandelion's just going to get bored and leave. Like, you can tell Geralt's pissy about it, and Dandelion, you could tell, is guilty for leaving Geralt when the war first broke out, when Geralt didn't know what was happening with Ciri and Yennefer, and that's why Dandelion is here. He's like, I abandoned my friend in a time of need. I'm going to be here for him no matter what. And they come across this guy who's like trying to sell them stuff, or like selling like goods stolen from the war. They're like, yikes, yikes, yikes. And then Nilfgaardians attack. But there's a man in a coffin in the back of this guy's thing, like a live man. They open it up, and surprise, guys, Cahir is there, the man who Geralt ran into at Thanedd, the Blackwing helmet guy.
The guy that's been giving Nilfgaardian nightmares.
Yeah, the Nilfgaardian who insists he's not a Nilfgaardian. He's like, let me come with you. I want to help. And Geralt's like, absolutely not. I should kill you right now. But he doesn't. Milva shows up, helps, pew, pew. She's like, I can't leave you. You're going into war-torn areas. Pew, pew.
It's a Maria level. Maria would be proud.
And funny enough, Maria is Milva's real name.
Yes, that is actually really great. Good job. Good job.
But so now our gang is Geralt, Milva, and Dandelion. They're all going together. Geralt's like, you guys are stupid for coming with me, but okay.
That is one thing that's a little irritating, by the way. Not at the beginning, but in the middle part. But it's great because Sapkowski. I can't ever say it.
Sapkowski. The W is like an FV sound.
Fair enough. You'll have to correct me if I do it wrong. But that's one thing he's really good at, is he's really good at making a mopey character grow. And thank God, too, because he really does need a slap in the face later. But continuing on.
Well, that's the thing about, and kind of what makes Geralt work as a character, is he is more grumpy than dark and tough. You know what I mean? Like, he really is more kind of like a grumpy 9-to-5 blue-collar monster hunter than anything else.
Is he ever?
And it really helps puncture any like drama that would be, or melodrama that would build up, because he's not a romantic main shadow daddy. He's just like, I don't want to be around people.
And it's so funny, like, so many times, like, at the end of the night, like, they'll just be a single line. He's like, Geralt was about to drift off into thoughts about Yennefer when this happened. I'm like, oh, this man just...
He just wants his girlfriend back.
Well, to be honest, I mean, just as a quick aside, Geralt has deservedly needed pity. Does he want it? No. Does he need it? Debatable. But like, dude, this guy just was at like a super cool party with his like girlfriend of his dreams, having super great sex where everybody heard them screaming off into the distance. Literally, that is a detail. And just had like a really tender moment where he's like, oh yes, I do dream of us having a cabin in the woods. And it's like, and then meanwhile, his stepdaughter gets like, whisked off into like an abysmal unknown place. His girlfriend betrays him by using his stepdaughter for a political gain, but like it's understandable, honestly. But nonetheless sucks. And then also he's hobbled horribly, and
Geralt's
he's just
not having a good
thrown into
time.
a forest.
Yeah. He's like, everyone shut up. And, the whole baptism of fire, like, I need to walk through these flames myself and be cleansed of, like, my wrongs. Like, it's mentioned
They do
several
say
times
this is
throughout
one of those times you can tell the author came up with the title after writing the book. And he was like,
I don't know. They do
what
that
did they
with
say
kind of
about-
all. They do that. They did that with Time of Contempt. They dropped the title several times, like, throughout. But it's less obnoxious than other books, certainly.
Yeah. So the other people they run into, right? So they run into Zoltan Cool.
Dandelion hears
Zoltan
singing.
Cool.
Yes.
That's what I call him.
Dandelion hears singing in the distance, and he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And he, it's like a jaunty song, and Dandelion just starts singing along too. And Zoltan and like 4 other dwarves and a gnome all just sort of saunter up. They've got a couple of women and children in their carts, and they're just like making their way through ravaged Wartown, which is described as real nasty. Like, it's just the descriptions alone.
I mean,
like,
the
and you
scene
can
that they
feel
come upon
yeah.
is a sexual assault scene with like a lot of other stuff going on in it. And so it is pretty horrific. And so I would like to just take a moment to say here, I've already mentioned it before, but I think one of the biggest strengths of this novel is the perspectives of the people being wrought upon, if that's the right way of saying it, but like they are suffering the damages of what is overall war between 2 large political parties, or more. Honestly, at this point, it's more than just 2. Apologies, but like I don't remember each country involved. But this scene, there's like this one particular scene that we may or may not like go into or whatever, but it's just like, there's war, there's death, there's pillaging, there's all sorts of wretchedness, but then there's also the pox, the plague. And so just from like death and destruction. And so just exploring those different facets of that, I think was a really good strength, especially for basically a, what would you call it? A fetch quest? No, you didn't call it a fetch quest.
No, it is. Well, I haven't said it yet, but it is also kind of strangely slice of life.
Yes,
in its style as well. So, but yeah, that kind of on an adventure, going on a quest, kind of road trip, I think is the word I used.
Yeah, road trip is what I was going for. Thank you. So it really like hits real nice. Anyway, that I just wanted to mention that real quick. But continue.
And Sapkowski does like a really good job of, over the course of their travels, sort of showing how numb they get to like the gore and violence and like awful things they see. Like at a certain point, they're just like, they had to take boots off a dead guy, and at this point, it was just kind of like nothing now. Like they'd seen it all. Like, yeah.
There's a part later on where he'll just like describe for a page or two stuff they came upon, and like at one point he's like, he's describing atrocities, and he mentions that like, oh, and in the barn or in the woodshed they found the bodies of the people who had lived there. But the soldiers had not limited themselves to not using the tools of the woodshed or something like that. And it's a very, he phrases it better, it's a very short description, but like it's so punchy and really makes you feel like, yeah, this is just such wanton destruction.
And we should say that along these travels, because Geralt is now traveling with Zoltan and Percival and the dwarves, he's agreed to take this path because it's safer. Cahir has been following on horseback just a little bit back this whole time, and Geralt's always like,
he's the rear guard.
This guy won't leave me alone. But Geralt doesn't want him. He's like, can you just leave me alone? He's like, no, this is my journey too. And Geralt, like, Milva like shoots an arrow like just to like scare him off one point, and he's like, ee! But he keeps showing back up. Like,
just for people who may have forgotten in our audience, what's his deal again? Why does he want to find Ciri? In case people don't remember.
Mostly because of this. He was the original writer, was he not? Am I incorrect?
The black-winged helmet guy? Yes, I believe he was.
Yes. So, long story short, this man was responsible for retrieving Ciri initially for political gain. And he failed to do so due to to empathy. Empathy. He was empathetic. He was a good character. And so he did not fulfill his goals. He was sent a second time to retrieve her, which was at the Isle of Thanet, if I'm not mistaken, the name, which is the book we just came from, where the big war clash happened between all the magic users and the Squat Tail, or whatever, and so on, and where Nilfgaard really invaded. He was charged with kidnapping Ciri yet again. He went to go kidnap Ciri. Ciri's like, nah,
but
small man who has no agency over me, and whooped him one. But then very, very, very soon after, this poor young man who sounds like he's in his early 20s, if I recall correctly.
He is, yeah.
Also had the Witcher come down upon him and really scare the absolute misgivings out of him. And so he failed in both accounts. But in both accounts, he's also been left scarred by Ciri in some ways. And he has dreams of her and of what she's becoming. And that is something we'll address.
Sense that this guy's fate is also just it's tied to Ciri now. Like, it's linked.
Yes, so he feels the need to go after her / rectify what negative impact he is.
Yeah, and that's what I had all remembered as well. I just wanted to make sure that people...
And like, just one more thing. Geralt knows that this man, Ciri had terrible nightmares about this guy. When you read, I think in Blood of Elves, we were kind of led to believe that this man may have sexually assaulted her. Ciri. Her nightmares were so bad. And Geralt, this man was enemy number one in Geralt's mind. You gave Ciri so many bad nightmares. He's been evil to Geralt for so long now.
Pure evil.
Yeah. That Geralt, now seeing that he's just kind of a boy and slowly, realizing, I don't like this guy, maybe didn't do all of those things. He's still angry and furious with him, but it's fascinating seeing their relationship slowly kind of crumble into something different. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so he's been following. They're going through. Let's see. But they get into an area where there's rumors of ghouls. There's ghouls about.
Have we explained about Zoltan Kuhl, or did we keep
not really?
Zoltan Shive.
Zoltan Kuhl.
Would you like to?
He is. So if I were to date a single character out of this entire novel, it would be him. First of all, he's got business plans. He's got business plans. He's got
a bird.
Yes, exactly.
Field Marshal Windbag.
Exactly. Please continue. I will be back in 5 seconds.
Geralt,
but we don't know when.
Jesus Christ, I just called you Geralt. That's embarrassing. Continue on your Zoltan.
I am kind of like Geralt. That's too. So he is like a dwarven, kind of small town guy. Not a small town guy. What's the word I'm looking for? He's like the caravan leader. He's, like Katie said, kind of has plans to start up a small business somewhere else. They found these women who were in trouble that they decided to save, even though they're very ungrateful the whole book for no real reason. You sense there's a lot of dwarf racism going on there.
Very funny.
But him and his buddy, who's a gnome, they're just the chillest bros who are like, "Yeah, come along, that'd be cool. What's going on? Let's sing some songs. Let's drink."
It's so funny. I love it. And you're right. There's a funny moment later, too, when they eventually part ways with Zoltan, where one of the little girls who was on the caravan, the daughter of one of the women they were, taking to safety, comes up to Percival and Zoltan and gives them a little flower. And he's like, "My mommy says you're a nasty little midget, but I think she's wrong. My mommy says you're a gross little half-breed. My mommy said," she just says the nasty. My mommy says the nastiest things. And she's like, "But I like you guys. I think you're really cool." And Zoltan is just a real good sport about it. And he turns to Percival and he's like, "Get over here, you nasty little half-breed. Give her a present too." And he gives her a little emerald, and she's like, "Gee, thanks." It's real sweet. Zoltan and Percival are adorable.
They're a lot of fun to be around. And again, it's one of the ways that a lot of the dwarven characters kind of blur together, but they're all enjoyable while they're here.
And they're a really good sort of off balance to Geralt's sort of broody stuff, and you can tell that Dandelion enjoys having them around because he's Mr. Chipper. He always wants to be in a good mood.
Life of the party.
Yeah, Chris M. If we could put that
dirty,
up. Yes.
Dirty burrowing.
You're not dirty burrowing midgets. You helped us. Yeah, the way that the little girl described. we were talking about when Zoltan
Yeah.
and Percival leave the party, and the little girl comes up to them and is like, my mommy says all these nasty things about you, but I like you. Anyway, back
So
to
the next big
travelogue.
thing. So that's most of our cast, but then we meet one more character who, about half, I think, a third of the way through the novel or so, that I will let one of you two.
Wait, who are we talking about?
The
Regis?
last
Regis.
member of our.
Yeah, so they're in the forest.
Oh.
They're lost in the forest. They're trying to follow the river. It's fucking them up. And there's rumors of ghouls in the area. There's a cemetery nearby. They're like, oh my gosh, the ghouls are gonna get us. And Geralt's like, these are like old graves or something. He's like, I don't think it's ghouls, but Percival's like, oh my god, I saw the ghoul. I saw it over there. And like, Geralt's like, what? And he's like, I saw it. He looked like he was dressed in all black, like a tax collector. He was hopping around on stones. And Geralt's like, a tax collector? What? And like, Geralt like goes over and he's like, you can come out, man. We're not gonna hurt you. And this man.
Like,
he
really
smells like
hefty herbal
cinnamon and
concoction.
like sage and aniseed, like all sorts of things.
This is actually, funnily enough, this is my favorite scene of the entire novel. I know that's dumb, but
I don't think it's dumb.
I think this graveyard scene and the subsequent moonshine scene is one of the best scenes. Because what a unique, it sounds like a D&D character. That's how unique it is. Like, because then we get introduced to none other than who, Valerie?
Emil Regis, my boy, he's a barber surgeon. He invites them into his home after like some awkward back and forth. They're like, who are you? We don't trust you. And there's a funny moment between like Geralt and Zoltan where like they've been friendly, but like Zoltan like pulls Geralt aside. He's like, man, I don't trust him. And Geralt's like, maybe we should like just go in and see what's going on. Ask if we could borrow a fork or something. I was like, why
That's
a fork?
literally what he says.
Yeah, he's like, why a fork? And he's like, why not?
Fork.
Why not a fork? But they don't have to because Regis opens the door and he's like, you guys come on in. I've got moonshine and drinks. Come on, make yourself comfortable. So they all go in. There's one mug. They pass around. They get absolutely trashed out of their minds.
You know,
There's a lot of talk of
during this part is I was like, okay, let me just imagine being in this position. Let me imagine I've been walking for days on end and I am exhausted. And I've got a lot of stress going on no matter who I am in the party. I've got a lot of future concerns. And I'm sitting here with this rando dude who I don't totally trust, but he's got some fine mandrake root moonshine, and I could just get totally blitzed off of this and forget my worries for one night, but I have to go walking the next day. And I thought to myself, absolutely not. This is a terrible idea, guys. Like, I thought for sure something bad was going to happen. Luckily, nothing bad happens. But, well,
I was just going to say, but before they go in, it should be noted that Geralt is introduced as a witcher, and Regis is like, a witcher? How fascinating. A monster killer. And I also want to bring up Chris's comments here on the side, and that
which part?
Yes, the moonshine of truth, and it has belladonna in it, so they get super chatty and truthful. This guy knows his herbs. He's and he doesn't drink himself. He's had issues in the past. He doesn't partake
very
of stimulants or of any kind. Yes, or certain pleasures. I just and everyone's like, all right, man. Okay.
Temperance.
Mm-hmm.
It is very funny because they get so drunk, and you clearly know there's something going on with Regis, and you should not be getting this drunk in front of him. But they're all kind of like dealing with their own stuff.
So they're just like sloppy, even though they kind of know it's a bad idea. They're just like, this is great. At one point, like Dandelion gets a little too chatty and starts talking about Yennefer, and Geralt's like, fine, whatever, I'm going outside. And everyone's like, hey man, what's your problem? He's like, I just have to piss, leave me alone. And like the Milva's out there too, and they like have a little moment before going back in. And it's just, Regis is so funny here. He's just sort of like just listening to them tell the same story over and over again because they're so trashed. And he's like, oh yes, how fascinating for all of you guys. Just listening and taking notes in his little head. And eventually he decides, you know, I didn't know about the war because I knew about the war, but I didn't know how bad it was. Now that I've heard all of this from you guys, I would like to join you on your little excursion if you'll have me. And they're like, oh yeah, for sure, absolutely, you'll come with us. That'll be fun. Let's see. Does anything else funny happen in that scene?
At what point does Geralt know what
I think he
he knew from the
suspects at this point, but
Right.
I think it's not until we meet the people hunting for a vampire in the next scene that he is firmly understands what's
He's
happening.
for sure. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Because
so,
I
like-
was like, he's awfully chill about this, but he must have a
Right.
reason.
I think he gets good. So Geralt much later on explains that Regis is like weirdly very balanced and level-headed and chill. Excuse my dogs.
I'll
but-
talk about the scene later when Regis comes back to the party because I love
Yeah.
that scene a lot. But
Yeah, me too. But I think that can be spoken for why Geralt even feels comfortable enough to drink in his presence. He understands that there is no pun intended, bloodlust for them or anything like that. There's no danger to be had, and once again am. This is like one of the reasons I really enjoy the Witcher stories with Geralt specifically, is that he emotionally connects with the monsters more often than the people. It's because the people are more monstrous in effort or behavior as opposed to their nature. And it's just like, it's another portrayal of that, but in like a way softer way. It's because it's not a fairy tale retelling. Instead, it's just like it's a vampire. My husband heard me listening to the parts, by the way, where Regis is explaining, like, much later on, we get a little background on Regis and why he is the way he is, and like his experience as a vampire youth. And my husband was listening to me listen to this in the kitchen as I was making our Thanksgiving dinner, and he was like, "What is this Twilight shit?" And I'm just like,
how dare he?
What
Tell him
the?
to meet me in the alley. We'll fight.
Yeah. What?
I know. I was
Okay.
like, dude, come on, it's The Witcher. And he's like, ugh.
Wrong. I've got some words for your husband. But anyway, we'll get there later. But so the next day they start out again. They're all hungover. They're like, oh god, and then they run into these. There's like an encampment nearby that Regis tells them about, and they're on their way there. They run into a few people from there. They're like, hey, you, we need your black horse. Give it to us. And they're like, what? Fuck no. Like, quite literally, they're like, give us the black horse. We need that. And they're like, no, Milva especially, because she's a
He
horse
doesn't
girl.
even say give me. He's just like, we'll take your black
We'll
horse.
take
And
it. We'll take it.
For
And
me,
Milva's
I was like, go f- yourself. Like,
And they're
go
like-
get your own horse.
Mhm. They're like, yeah, we got a new priest. He's great, everyone. And there's a vampire around
A
here, you guys.
super great president.
He's
super
so
great.
sweet. And we need your black horse because everybody knows that if you ride around the cemetery with the black horse, it'll lead you to the grave of the vampire, and then you can stake it in the
And
heart.
they're so
Everyone
certain
knows
about
this.
it. They're so
And then we'll
matter of
make
fact
Temeria
about it.
great
It's
again.
so funny.
They're like, so give the horse, we'll take it. And they're like, no, absolutely not. Milvo can ride around for you. And she's like, absolutely not. I'm not doing these weirdos busy work
I
for
love
them. The
Milva.
fuck?
I
And
just
then they
wanna-
look at her and they're like, a virgin might be useful to us, but forgive me, you don't really look the part. And she's like, you motherfucking bitches, punches them in the face. And one of them's like, he's dead. And she's like, oh shit, did I kill him by punching him?
She
vomits.
KO'd somebody
Yeah.
so hard.
And the next scene is like, he's just got a little concussion, like Regis is Mr. Barber surgeon checking him out. Don't worry. But Milva is like, okay. She vomited, and like there's a side note.
It's one of the places the books are really funny. Like,
Yeah, it's
again,
so
there's like
funny.
a sort
It's
of
such a
like
funny scene.
yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't really punctuate how grim the book is as a whole, but there are really funny scenes that Sapkowski makes work that aren't just dumb banter like in some
Well,
books.
You know what really helps it is that it's followed up, in my opinion, I think the recipe is what makes it good, right? There's enough wholesome scenes that the funny scenes equivalent out to the darker scenes. And if it was just funny and dark, it would be kind of like potentially tacky or yeah, you want to go.
I was just thinking about this because Will and I just reviewed A Cruel Thirst, which had a bunch of really like scenes that should have been traumatic that were peppered with humor in a way that felt like it
Uncomfortable.
was just it cut the tension of the scene and made it unbelievable. Whereas the humor in these books, it reflects the state of the characters. Like right now they know they're in shit, but they just had a fun night of drinking and they're just like, we're lost. But like it's logically placed and it makes sense for the character's emotional state and where it's at. And like it doesn't undermine itself, which so
And
many
it's not
authors do.
It's not like self-referential in the way that the Josh, as somebody who was very annoyed that I kept calling him that in the video, says. It's not, apparently I keep calling him Josh Whedon instead of Joss Whedon in the video.
Is that what they were talking about?
Yeah, one of the comments mentioned it. I don't know. I think they're mildly a hater, but it doesn't matter. And so, this kind of humor isn't self-referential in that way, where it then kind of weakens the overall structure of the narrative. It's just kind of like, oh, this is a little goofy. Peasants are kind of stupid, and now we have to do this complicated thing. But it also fits in with the whole, like, everybody's out for their own money in this world feeling that the books have.
Yeah, it's very much like, we're at war now. We make the rules. There's like a toll to get this path. They're like, absolutely not. I'm not paying that. They're like, fine, take us to your leader. We'll work it out with your guy. So they go to this encampment to meet up with the leader. This encampment has the super cool priest that was previously mentioned. And surprise, guys, they've found a witch who has been conspiring with this vampire that they're searching for. This little girl, a young orphan girl, is like strung up to be burned at the stake because she's been cavorting with a vampire. The priest is go. Do you have something to say, Katie?
I would just love. Is it okay if I tell this scene?
Yeah, please do.
I particularly like the scene out of all the scenes in the book, because it's a hero scene, and it's the unexpected hero that really saves the day in this moment, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, like Val was saying, the girl is nonverbal. She's definitely like just different in some way or another. She later on is like, maybe it's alluded to, maybe she has prophetic dreams. Not really. I don't remember that part too well, but that doesn't matter. The point is she's different. And it's really great. It's because it's very satisfying in like a wish fulfillment sense of like a historical reenactment kind of thing when it comes to like witch perjury
Burnings.
And everything, where it's like, oh, you're a witch. You ate a cat. We found the cat's bones. And then of course...
Real fast. Just, it's so funny because as soon as they're like, she ate the cat, Dandelion's like, well, I felt bad for her, but if she ate a cat, that's going too far.
Yeah. And then I forget who says it, but I'm pretty sure it was
Geralt. Zoltan, I think.
Oh no, is it Zoltan? Yeah.
Who's like, or Percival, he was like, the black cat with these eyes?
Yes. No, and they're even like, that doesn't look like a cat's bones. That looks like a bird's bones. And eating a bird is perfectly normal. And then yeah, you're right. Percival is like, a cat that looks like this, and this. And they're like all in silence. And they're like, mayhaps. And then he's just like, you mean that cat right there on that barrel. And there's the bear. And again, this is where I'm talking about the omniscient narrator. There is an omniscient narrator throughout this, which I even would dare say is a storyteller later on that we get for 5 seconds. But there's a cat that's literally licking its butt in that moment.
And that's great.
Yes,
it like just looks at them and it just starts licking its butt immediately. It's like, does not care about the drama of the moment at all.
The way it's described is very well done. And in the end, the priest, which is very like, self-righteous, very narcissistic, you can tell, which again, inherently the characterization is really, well, okay, what I want to say is the characterization is so good that inherently this justice grabbing in this moment is very like satisfying, even though it's a quick little scene and they're not like elongated characters that were wronged and then had to like work back from anything or anything like that. But he's like, they end up, Geralt stands up, and it feels really good in that moment because you're like, yeah, Geralt's like for the people, like he's, like he wouldn't stand by as this happens, and he doesn't. And it's really gratifying to see this, especially in the presence of his current companions who don't totally know him well, except for Dandelion, or Dandelion, whatever. And so he's like, yeah, I'll like, it's by combat or whatever. I forget what the term is.
And Milva steps up too. She's like, I'll do my arrow thing.
And they all do. And and then the priest is like, oh, well, then I'll name the terms because it's such and such rule. Carry this really hot thing from here to my hands without getting burned, and you're good to go. And
pull the horseshoe out of the fire.
Yeah. And this is where Regis comes up, and he's just like, oh, don't mind if I do. Just give me one moment, sir. And then he goes and he grabs it and brings it over. He's like, yeah, it's totally fine. We're all good. And of course, at that moment, you as the reader are like, all right, I already knew he was different. But now I see that he's a good different, because he just like low key ousted himself super hardcore to anybody watching. And he was like, yeah, I'll just do this. It's because like I want to support my team against the team that I really hate. Like, you know, enemy and my enemy is my friend.
Yeah. And before I'm going to say something, that I want to read a couple of.
Okay.
Okay, you can do that first. Then I'll say something.
Okay, yeah. Chris M said, oh, I know why that seems weirdly omniscient. It's because Ciri, when she gets visions, she sees through Kat's eyes. It was the same thing in the last book when Conringer and Fen get killed. I think the next section after the army attacks cuts to Ciri. I agree, but I do think Katie's correct in that there is a omniscient-y tone, I think, to later parts of the book. But I think that's more of just a writing style per se than the camera actually comes. It's an omniscient writing style.
Nonetheless, it is omniscient in style. And it only crops up in specific framework moments of the novel. But I think that it does flare up in other small ones. Like, for example, at one point Dandelion gets like hit in the shoulder or whatever, or in the head, or like grazed in the head by an arrow, and he's like, "Oh, I'm dying," or something like that. You know,
I love that scene. We'll talk about it. Yeah,
but the narration said for a person who was supposed to be dead,
yeah.
And it's like, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to just rewind a little bit to when Regis was first talking to these people at the vampires, and Geralt and Regis were talking together. Regis lists off all the vampires. He's like, well, these ones are out. These ones don't make sense because they're not in this area. And Geralt's like, that's really impressive. You didn't miss a single vampire, and you left out all the fake ones. How do you know this? And he's like, well, I'm just a learned man. And I agree with what Chris said a little bit earlier, and that I don't think that until after this moment, Geralt really put together that he was a vampire. I think he was suspicious of him, but I think that at this moment, he's like, this man is really dangerous. Even if I like him, even if I think he's a good guy, he is extremely dangerous. He's a higher vampire. He's intelligent. He could kill everyone here, like, in a second, which is why, like, and after this scene, all hell breaks loose because, you know, Regis hands over the burning horseshoe, right? And this guy's like, this is sorcery. How dare you do this? Like, we should kill you. And he's like, I just did exactly what you asked to prove innocence. Therefore, I'm innocent and this girl is. Correct? And he's like, no.
Tough shit.
And then he's like, well, too bad. Like, I did it. And then...
Fortunately.
Nilfgaard's coming, guys. And, like, a bunch of... horses rush in, all hell breaks loose. It's all broken up. Geralt and Dandelion get, like, absconded.
Annihilated by horses and flour.
So there's an interesting thing that happens where at certain parts in the book, it's always made a point that Geralt is, like, such a inhumanly gifted killer. I can't remember if this happens before now or after with the Plague House, but he, like, really cuts down some men very easily. And this
during
part,
the Plague House, literally at
no,
point.
I'm saying I don't know if the Plague House happens before or after this part in the book.
Before.
Okay, we'll have to circle back to it. But what's kind of funny here is that it's like he kind of just gets run over by the crowd, and so his sword skills aren't really worth anything. And so it in another book, I think it could feel kind of like bullshitty, like, oh, the author wanted him to get captured here, so we have to come up with some kind of reason for why his sword skills don't matter as much. But I think it speaks a lot to the very kind of ordinary plainness that the books have sometimes, that, like, no, you can be a super cool killer, but if you get stuck in a crowd, you're kind of going to get fucked up, and your skill doesn't mean anything.
And Chris is right. The next session right after the army attack that you guys were just talking about does cut to Ciri very briefly, where she wakes up from a nightmare screaming, and she's like next to she's next to Missile, and like one guy comes up and like, you guys can do your weird lesbian sex thing, but can you shut the fuck up? And then she's like, and Missile's like, she's having a nightmare, you absolute piece of shit. And like, it's a little bit funny, and it's also really sad because every time we see Ciri in these moments, it's like you can just see her being like, she's so lonely and she's just clinging to these people for like any kind of like
Ciri. Well, so, like, it really frustrates me, actually. Can I just say real quick? It does frustrate me that we do not get Ciri for a good, at least, portion of this book. The only reason I say that, it's because she's becoming a hateful character. And I don't mean hateful as in, like, I have a personal vendetta against her, against another character or something, or she did something wrong another character. But it's literally told to you, the viewer, several times, or not viewer, reader, whatever, several times that Falca, her moniker, is a mad woman who murders, and she is fulfilling that destiny currently, and our omniscient narrator tells us so we know it's to be true. And that combined with the little alludes that we get to her experience in the rats as a robber and her murderous spree, we are told slowly but surely through like her little like episodes that she likes killing because she's so upset and hurt and angry that nobody's come to save her. And I don't think it's just that. I think it's just also like her whole life has been a lot, honestly. And it is totally understandable that she would be here at this point. Like, I don't disagree that she would get to this point. But without exploration of the people's responses to her different versions of herself in this moment, I find it very alienating to her character. And I find it easy to dislike her and stop wanting him to find her.
I think I don't mind it being distant in this book because we are going to get a lot of Ciri perspectives in,
are we?
In the next books. And in this one in particular, I feel like Ciri is just dissociating. I think she's like separated two parts of herself. And I think it would be a real fucking bummer to be stuck in her head. I'm okay with this kind of dissociation, like these small snippets that we get, because like, we get tiny moments, we get other people's perspectives on her in small snippets that don't quite seem like the Ciri we know. And I'm okay with that. I think like maybe I'll change my mind because it's been a minute since I've read them, but I don't mind the small snippets that we get of it.
I think the problem is that between this and the last book, the structure is a little funky.
It is really funky.
The structure in all these books is funky.
We talked about it last time, but last book we spent like the last third of that book with Ciri on her own, descending into madness or barbarity or whatever.
I loved that, but I also disliked it.
But see, the thing is, really, that should be happening technically at the same time this is happening. It's just chronologically in their world that has to happen before this part happens. So for this book, All of Baptism of Fire, she more or less just has to be in a holding pattern where her character growth, which happened too early last time, now doesn't like there's some world where he kind of bridges these two books plots in a way that's more elegant. But yeah, I didn't super mind it because I think like Val said, you do get a sense for the kind of self-distance that she's imposing on herself, and also like there's nothing super like she's hardened and dark now, which we got from the last book, but like could have probably used a little bit more time. But we're here.
Also, wouldn't have like I'm glad we didn't get like it's not like I'm asking for that really, truly deep in my heart of hearts. Like I don't want to witness it because it feels so. What did you call it? A bummer or something?
A huge bummer, yeah.
It's a huge bummer.
Like it does feel like a bummer. Like it's but in a way that's like it almost feels like you shouldn't witness that. Like it's a private event. And I do like that it is private to her in some regard. So that's why, like, again, it's like it doesn't really hurt the story or anything. It's just it's odd.
Yeah, and I'm probably not going to mention like every single Ciri moment because they are short snippets and they're just weird. You see her and you're like, oh, this isn't. And like Geralt will say when he dreams about her, like, this isn't Ciri. This is something violent and different that I don't understand. And this is, if the Falca, right? And like there's like a moment later with some like candy floss that Missile buys her. And there's like a really violent moment. And like Ciri is like, oh no, I dropped my candy floss. And Missile's like, I'll buy you another one, sweet. It's like so like between like hyper violent and like kind of like childish, like
it's regression.
Yeah.
And that's what creeps me out the most in that scene that Val just noted is that when that happens, she like kills somebody for like nudging into her or something. She dropped her candy floss or something. I don't even remember fully. All I remember is walking away from that scene thinking, oh God, you're like any character I've ever seen that's like, I would not so dare to say manic pixie dream girl type thing, but like that kind of like hyper violent, like you said, that hyper violence, like
murder muffin, there's cinnamon roll muffin, something like that, murder cinnamon roll. I don't know. Jen Morrissey talks about.
It's really uncomfortable to see that in a character that just 5 seconds ago seemed very independent growing, and so it's like a regression, and so it's like, oh no, a loss of what could have been. of like a strength, a strong character, a pollution of an idea. And so I honestly don't want to explore that, and I don't want to see that in this character in particular.
I think, unfortunately, that is not what we're gonna get from this series.
You know, we're gonna get a lot more Siri and a lot more traumatic moments. But
yeah, I was gonna say, I think, unfortunately, but yeah, we probably won't really even talk about it much more than this because it's basically in a holding pattern. At the end, you figure out there's a bounty hunter that's gonna go after her and the rats, and
as far as their story goes, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. So back to Geralt and Dandelion, how we're captured by these forces, which are the Nilfgaardians. And it's so
are they
funny.
Temerians, I think? I think they're Temerians.
I don't remember. This is where Dandelion is very confident that he can talk
He's so
his way
funny.
out
I
of this
love
situation.
this. He's like, don't worry, you guys. They know me here. They know me here. It's me, the poet, the bard, Dandelion. They won't hurt me. And they're like, oh, fuck you, kid.
No. It's better because he's like, oh, you peasants, I'm used to being treated better than like this.
Yeah.
Where's your lord? And none of them believe him. And they're all like, okay, well, now we noticed you and we're going to like bind you up and go take you to somebody important, but not in a good way.
And
really
lo
funny.
and behold, the important person does in fact recognize him. He's like, oh, this is Dandelion. Unhand him. Yes. Like, this guy's famous. We like.
Well, I think it doesn't go well.
As Chris M said, which is true. Wait, real quick. I just want to know, just to better understand, real quick, how many books are there in the series?
There's the Tower of Swallows after this. There's Lady of the. Are there just 2 left after this? And then there's the newer ones that are, I think, prequels.
There's the prequel, Season of Storms.
So I think there's 2 left. I think Tower of Swallows.
Does it end?
Yeah, Lady of the Lake is the last one.
And it does like end?
Well, it ends and then there's the video games.
Which
are like not canonical.
A few things. But yeah.
Yeah. I unfortunately got spoiled for the ending of the actual end of the books, unfortunately, without meaning to, which was annoying.
What does that even mean? You'll have to tell me later.
Shush. We'll get there later. Everyone shut up. Let's keep going.
Everyone shut up.
Okay. So so the one guy does know who Dandelion is and is like, oh, he's my favorite poet. But then another guy comes in and he's the asshole racist knight back from when Ciri's mom first showed up.
Skelegan Islands or something like that?
Maybe. I literally just remember he was kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he's like, yo, you came and party crashed, and like your party crashing was super lame, and you tried to kidnap a little girl. What a pedo. You should be arrested. And then he's like, and then of course Geralt's just like,
well, no, there's this whole thing too about how like because there's a fake Ciri that people think is marrying the Nilfgaardian prince or whatever, the Cintrans as a whole are like, we don't know if we really want to fight and die for you. So this guy is also trying to discredit the female line of Cintrans that Ciri's a part of, which, like, to be honest, I actually thought was very interesting. Like, he points out that, like, you're losing all your troops because they don't really want this, and unfortunately, you just taunted this guy about it. And they get saved, obviously, because of course.
So what happens is, Milva is separated from Geralt and Dandelion because they get captured. Cahir catches up to Milva, and the two of them sit and talk for a minute, and they're like, just catching each other up on the situation. And Regis pops out, and he's like, I can help. I can get you boys out of danger. And they're like, sick. So Regis goes and helps free Dandelion and Geralt. I don't remember all of the specifics of this. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
just long story short, he's his cool vampire powers to do vampire stuff.
And on the way out, Dandelion, he's like, I've been hit. I've taken an arrow to the head, and he got his he got grazed. But there's a lot of blood there. So he's like,
said a man who was apparently supposed to be dying.
And there's a great moment where like Geralt realizes like, oh, Dandelion has never seen his own blood like this. He's never been in a battle like this. And like, there's a kind of an empathy there. He's like, this guy is freaking out. Like, he's never seen this kind of battle before. And he's still here with me, my buddy. And Regis kind of like patches up. He's like, it's funny because he says, your blood smells great. And Geralt like pulls out his sword and he's like, you back away from my friend. He's like, it smells good because there's no infection. man.
You fucking dweeb.
And then like he stitches him up, and he's Regis is like, "You're being so brave, Dandelion." And the prose is like, "Dandelion was being so brave," and it's very funny.
It's really funny.
My second favorite scene happens like right after this. I'm just going to mention it. Maybe it's not right after this and my time perception's a little different, but they eat a fish together. And
No, that comes late. We'll get there.
When we get to that scene, just
to
remind me that we're at that scene because I love that scene.
Oh, it's a great scene. And Chris M always with us, filling us in.
Coming in clutch.
He
goes in and puts the guards to sleep, and Geralt and Dandelion disguise themselves as soldiers to try and leave the camp, but they are pegged for deserters. And then there's like, I think the Nilfgaardians show up.
And Kair does save Milva when he shows up.
So next scene is Geralt being with Regis. He's like, "I know what you are. You got to get out of here." And Regis is like, "I knew you knew what I was, but I didn't know that you knew what I knew that you knew."
But Geralt's like, "We can't see each other anymore," and Regis is like, "I understand."
He's like, "I get it." And if I see you again, I'm gonna kill you. And Regis is like, "Okay, I don't think you will, but okay, bye."
And then comes back the next night.
Immediately, he comes back the next day.
He's like, "I just have to change Dandelion's his like a wound thing, gauze or whatever."
And
Geralt's like, "All right, but watch your back, man. You're a vampire."
But no more. Just the one time.
Just this once.
And this is, I think, more or less when they figure out that Regis, or it's revealed to the group that Regis is a vampire. And he's like, but like not a lame vampire, a cool vampire. Because what you find out throughout this is that like the vampires are like, there's this whole scene where they start asking him questions about vampires and which ones are true and which ones aren't. Which you can tell is Sapkowski getting back into how he was in the short stories, where he was just deconstructing stories all the time and legends and stuff. Which is like a fun little scene, but it's really funny because for a little bit, Regis Dandelion gets and Cahir both get really racist. They're like, "What do we do, Geralt, when he gets hungry and he wants to drink blood?" Geralt's like, "Go away." That's basically his answer to them. It's a very funny moment because it's like, oh yeah, they are like a little like. There's that like Geralt does know more about these animals that he's supposed to kill, or these creatures that he's supposed to kill, than these idiots who like seem like they're less grumpy but actually don't really know a lot. And there's kind of an interesting contrast there of like, you know, the whole Geralt as a mutant among humans, a beast among humans.
Yeah, and like we learned that Regis has been he's been sober for a long time. He had like a lot of issues with drinking too much vampire blood as a young one because he was a socially anxious little vampire, our boy. And
he says that too.
There was so much
build up the strength to talk to women sometimes.
I just really want to talk to hot vampire girls, but like it's really hard when you're not drinking like all the blood with all the other guys. So I did it to boost my confidence.
Is literally what he says. Actually, she's not kidding.
And then he was like. And, you know, then I started doing it when I was home alone, too, just to feel something. And
really
it's honestly
really
kind of a great conversation about addiction, like sincerely, and like how it can pop up in like socially anxious people who are just trying to be okay. And it's very on the nose, but it's still really hits. And it's like, it's great. It's
a good scene. It's really funny. And it also, again, goes back to Sapkowski's, like, he how much he liked to kind of examine those fairy tales and myths that he did early on that really has kind of fallen by the wayside as the books go on. They have this whole discussion about, like, do humans care that vampires feed on them or that they kill them? And isn't that kind of weird? And it isn't. And I think that's the quote that Val's looking for, because there's a quote by Milva at the end that she's very fond of.
Oh, wait, which one? Sorry.
I thought you were going to do the Milva quote.
When she says what exactly? I'm trying to remember.
Okay, so remember they're talking about vampires, and he's talking about all the different reasons that go into it. And she goes, "Ugh, it always comes down to humping."
Oh, yeah, okay. I got to see if I can find that one yet. Hold on. I was trying to...
she immediately agrees and then goes
we talked about it in A Cruel Thirst is the funny part.
Oh, did you?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because it's like when you talk about vampires, that's essentially kind of what you're talking about as a metaphor.
It is really fun. Another thing that also There was something else I wanted
One other
to say.
thing I wanted. Can I bring up something unrelated real fast? Sorry, I'm a little sloppy for this one, but it's very like when Geralt like tells Regis to like fuck off and like go away. Regis asks the question, so are you going to like come after me and kill me later? You're a monster hunter. You know about me now. It's your job to like come after me and kill me. And Geralt's like, if there's a bounty, maybe I'll take it, maybe I won't. And Regis is like, just out of curiosity, how much money would it have to cost? And Geralt's like, it'd have to be bloody high. And you tickle my vanity. To be precise, fuck off, Regis. I'm going. But first put a value on me, if you please. I've usually taken the equivalent of a good saddle horse for an ordinary vampire, but you, after all, are not ordinary. How much? I doubt, the Witcher said, his voice cooled as ice.
Yeah.
I doubt whether anyone could afford it. I understand. And thank you, the vampire said, smiling. It is just so sweet because Geralt likes this guy. They're friends. Mm-hmm. It's like, there's probably no money in the world that could let me kill you because I like you. And it's just so sweet. I love their friendship so much.
The author does a very good job. Once again, I've said this, Will agreed, which makes the cockles of my heart warm. True. But I will say once again, Geralt is incredibly lovable because of the way he's written, because he is not a fun character. He is not like an inherently wait. Actually, he is an inherently fun character. Monster Hunter kills monsters, super cool. But then once you get into it, he's kind of mopey as shit. And he's kind of a downer most of the time. But it's so well done in that distinction. And I think, actually, never mind. Val really said it. I don't know. You guys can fight over it if you care. But the difference between grumpy and sad shadow daddy.
Oh, no, I did. But yeah, no, it's true. And that's the thing about him is that he feels much more of dark, the archetype of dark, lonely monster hunter as written by a 40-year-old man versus as like a teenage boy. Too. Yeah, exactly. Like you get a real sense from Sapkowski a lot of times of him just being like a middle-aged dude writing this versus someone who's really looking for wish fulfillment in their characters, and tropes and stuff like that. And that's kind of what happens next. It's the big moment where they, I think it's Milva tells Geralt that like, hey, we're gonna have to go to a different place to find Ciri, and Geralt has a moment of like, okay, guys, I'm going on my own. None of you follow me anymore. And they're like, we need to make a fish. And he's like, what? And they're like, we need to make a fish. We're hungry. So they make a fish. And then they're like, you're not going to go on your own. We all want to help you out here. If you had tried to make this fish on your own, it would have sucked. It would have been a terrible fish. You need friends. And it's funny because I kind of was looking for this moment and I was going to be like, oh, this is going to be cheesy and dumb. But there really is something to the way that the book is just like, no, you're being an idiot, Geralt. Like, yes, you need friends. Like, there's such a lack of interest in Geralt's like man pride. It's really just very clearly like, everyone's no, like, stop it.
Over yourself. We all want to be here.
Yeah.
But you know what's great is that it's also balanced by the concept of understanding of not wanting to burden others with what feels to be your exclusive sin and responsibility and therefore salvation. Like, he did something he feels that was not fulfilling his role, and he feels that he needs to fix that now and rectify it, and to drag anybody else in would be to create more debts to others. And so it makes sense. Like, why? Because he can't even stand by himself. How could he think that he could stand for others later on to repay his debt? He may not even make it out of this. And therefore, his sacrifice would be for not just the person that he really owed, but like not being able to pay back those specific debts. And we even got like,
oh yeah, I forgot there's arc words in this book about debts versus something
I was just going to
else's.
mention like there's even like some foreshadowing in the concepts being like represented thematically of the idea of rectifying your debts. And especially in particular, heavily handed in the last book with a literal debt collector person or a person that does lawyer debt stuff. But the point is you can't blame Geralt for feeling this way, especially the way he is portrayed. You can't help but think, yeah, I get it, dude, but you can't do it, and they obviously care, so just let it be.
Yeah, so can I read a couple of things here from this conversation? Because there are a few good lines. I'll just read a couple snippets here, and then there's one long bit that Regis says that I think kind of seals the themes of this like quite well. Geralt says, "I don't have anything else to say. I'll go south, crossing the Yaruga's far bank through Nilfgaard's territory. It'll be dangerous and long. There's no time to waste, which is why I'm going by myself." Having got rid of the inconvenient baggage, Dandelion nodded. "The ball and chain, just slowing down your march and causing so many problems. In other words, me." "And me," Milva added, glancing to one side. "Listen," Geralt said more calmly. "This is my private matter. None of this concerns you. I don't want to risk your necks for something that only concerns me." "It only concerns you," Dandelion replied. They're just like, all right, buddy, this only concerns you. And then Regis says something great here. Let's see. "The world turned upside down," the vampire admitted deadpan. "You are talking to me indeed. Perhaps you'd also like to listen to some advice." No, I wouldn't. I don't need to." "True, I'd forgotten. Advice is superfluous to you. Allies are superfluous. You'll get by without any traveling companions. The goal of your exposition is, after all, personal and private. More than that, the nature of the goal demands that you accomplish it alone, in person. The risks and dangers, hardships, and constant struggle with doubt must only burden you. For after all, they are components of the penance, the expiation of guilt you want to earn. A baptism of fire, I'd say. You'll pass through the fire, which burns, but also purges. You'll do it alone. For were someone to support you in this, help you, take even a scrap of that baptism of fire, that pain, that penance, they would, by the same token, impoverish you. They would deprive you of part of the expiation you desire, which would be owed to them for their involvement. After all, it should be you, your exclusive expiation. Only you have a debt to pay off, and you don't want to run up debts with other creditors at the same time. Is my logic correct?" Which is just,
what a great quote to explain good job.
I marked that one specifically because Regis just like skewered Geralt with that one.
And this had been brought up right back at the beginning of the book with Milva talking about how being a person is about getting yourself into debts with a bunch of other people, and like how that's just kind of you just kind of have to do that, and
that's life. That's
and
what
there was Zoltan Kuhl had said something about debts too that I don't remember because I'm really sick at the moment, but that was awesome.
That's what the head lady I can't think of her name either.
Philippa Eilhart.
The forest dryad queen lady thing.
I think it's Eifney or something.
Yeah, something like that. That's actually it, I think. I think you're right.
"Ah, you have come here to Brooklyn."
Yes, yeah, that's how.
I hate the way.
To Brooklyn.
It's the one time the voice actor, I'm like, please don't try to do a woman voice.
I know.
Oh, you can very tell he's a middle-aged man doing a breathy woman voice, and I hate it.
He is in that moment.
Anyway,
and being said, she brings it up specifically, and you can tell but it's so interesting because you can tell in that moment that character in particular is manipulating Milva, and she's just like, yeah, of course, like you're in my debt, but she's trying to like, what's the term I want to use? Saltily bandy her into understanding that no matter what you do, you're always under someone's thumb, so you may as well be under mine. Or you're going to it's not really that vibe. It's more along the lines of look, you're under my thumb. You're under anybody's thumb at any moment. Just go on with it. That's the way it is. And which is not true. That is not true unless you live through a certain filter in life of feeling like you owe rather than you want to deserve yourself towards the other person. Like it's I don't know. I think that's a really interesting concept in this book that I don't know if is outright stated, which is the difference between feeling like you owe somebody because you feel like you've provided a negative experience over, like, if this makes sense.
Yeah, reparation versus
what's the other word that I want to use?
I don't know, but besides a normal debt,
donation. Reparation versus like donation, like, oh, I gave you this, at least I gave you that, my God, versus like, oh, I owe you, like, and there's a certain balance to that, and it depends on perspective. And I just thought this book did a really good job at finding a middleman point in describing that kind of feeling.
And it's especially great because right after that, that scene, that long thing I read from Regis, him just basically outing Geralt for all of his like emotional baggage. They just like get a couple fish and they're like, "Hey, you guys want to make some soup? Actually, I think we can make some soup." And like they all just like sort of banter and they continue to sort of like jab at Geralt for being just kind of a sad sack. Like, we're all here, we're making soup together. We're gonna eat
you,
it,
Geralt.
but we're gonna eat it out of a boot. Come on and join us, man. We're a gang now. Too bad, like it or not. Like, we're working together. And he's just sort of grumpy about it, but he's still like eating the soup. And it's real sweet. It's real sweet.
Okay, so that's more or less a lot of the. Oh, okay. The next big thing is actually
we
should
do
go
have
back
to talk about the sorceresses.
I was about to say let's go do the finish up Yennefer and then.
I did feel really bad for Yennefer, by the way. Val, I'm sure, will tell us the tale of how she comes back into the picture. But when it happens, I thought to myself, oh, God. Like, you did your penance. You did your penance. Fair enough.
She didn't know what she was getting. She thought she was doing right by Ciri, and there were machinations happening beyond her. And she's like, oh, shit, I really fucked up. She knows she fucked up immediately. She's like, I trusted these people I shouldn't have.
I could never blame her for long. But yeah.
Essentially, we are in Francesca Findabar's point of view, I believe. I believe she is one of the elf sorceresses, and she's been keeping Yennefer in like a little figurine, a little jade figurine that she's been keeping in her cleavage for a while. And she plucks her out. She puts her down.
I
and
don't know what that's like, but.
And she's like,
"Oh, even get a chuckle out of well, God damn, boy, you are tired." Okay, let's get through
look at my eyes. This is literally as open as I can open my eyes right now.
I literally went no boobs, and he loves the no boobs.
I'm so out of it. Go ahead.
So Yennefer, she pulls Yennefer out of this little figurine that she's been keeping her in, and updates her. She's like, and Francesca is like, "Oh, good, you still have kind of your memories. You're okay." And Yennefer's like kind of vomiting and like shaking and like drinking carrot juice, trying to be okay. Yennefer is forced to like go to this thing. She is not pleased with what's happening. All of the sorceresses are essentially like, we need to use Ciri for her genes. They like do like a little apple comparison. This is how the gene is passed down. Like it's a lot to take in, I'm not gonna lie. And like the Laura Doran gene, like I couldn't parse it. Look it up if you want to.
I got it.
There's a kind of interesting. Yeah, I made a graph. I don't know what you're talking about.
Me too. I couldn't help myself as she talked about the apple part. I was like, all right, here's the red apple, here's the green apple.
I definitely have drawing paper somewhere in my room. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, this is the part where we're in Fringilla's POV for this, as we were talking about earlier, where Fringilla comes in. Like, wow, they're all wearing clothes and their nipples aren't out and there's no crazy orgies happening right now. This is crazy.
So funny.
Funny.
And so their whole thing was that like, okay, well, our business is magic, so we're not going to usurp the political power of everyone, but we need to make sure magic's doing okay. And everyone's like, okay, but we tried that before with what we've been doing, which is being like secret advisors and people. And she's like, okay, but how about we put somebody actually on the throne who's a magic user, and that person would be Ciri, because Ciri has the elder blood, which again, through very complex machinations, they had been able to like Bene Gesserit Dune style create the Kwisatz Haderach, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know. I feel like the author is kind of trying to do the whole like he's trying to look at the trope of like the magical counselor to the kings, and well, what if they actually wanted power? But as of yet, it doesn't totally make a lot of sense to me what he's trying to say through this. Mostly it's just interesting that like everybody in this world consistently is an actor for themselves.
I think the message is that when there's a tool, it's like the Hunger Games at the cornucopia. There's a bow and arrow. Who wants the bow and arrow? Everybody wants the bow and arrow. Everybody wants the machine gun. Whatever it is, whatever the most powerful weapon is, they're all going to go towards it. And so I think it's more about exploring the perspectives of the people that want the weapon than an overall message.
And Yennefer's like, that bow and arrow is my daughter, you crazy people. but she's kind of forced to remain like kind of calm. She gives like the background on Siri as, sort of like calmly as she can. There's a bunch of fuss. Triss is there kind of trying to like do her little like detective girl thing, trying to figure out what's going on. We have a brief thing from her, but then we get back to Yennefer, who talks to Fringilla, like at the end. And Fringilla is like, hey girl, I imagine you probably want to get out of here. If I was talking to a friend, I would say you absolutely should not try to teleport out of here, because that would be a terrible idea. You might die. However, and they're like breaking oysters. However, we're not friends. And who knows where these oysters came from, And lo and behold, Yennefer manages to get out using like the oysters to like whatever coast the oysters came from. Like portal out of there, and everyone's like, "How did she do that? How'd they get out?" Not Francesca.
It's hilarious because
like,
right from the beginning, Yennefer's like, "I'm gonna escape," and they're like, "We don't think that'd be a great idea for you to do that, and we also don't think you can." Yennefer's like, "Okay, but I'm gonna escape," and then she just escapes at the end.
Yeah. Also, as a side note, can I just tell you, like, unimportant, completely, not even remotely helpful to the book, but hearing them eat oysters all the time. This is not the only time oysters has come up. I just like, I'm like, is this like a yonic imagery thing, or I just can't imagine enjoying oysters without horseradish. Or
I love oysters.
No, I love oysters, but I want some horseradish and some of that red.
Maybe they had some and they just didn't mention it. Anyway, we're almost done, guys. Come on, Will's
Polish.
dying.
All right, the last big and this okay, and so this is one of the weird things is that we've been building up this kind of part of the storyline. There's also some stuff with the spy master that happens that heightens the stakes a little. We figure out somebody's going to go after Ciri, and then we cut back to Geralt, and Geralt has like the chillest climax of the story.
Yeah.
The last really big thing that happens before the climax, which is just like a battle that they get into, is that we figure out that Milva this whole time has been pregnant. And Regis is like, okay, but she doesn't really want to keep it. And he has to talk to the other men of the party about it. And it's so funny because they're all literally like, yep, we agree. It's a basic human right that women get to decide what they do with their bodies. That's how we feel in Nilfgaard. I don't know if you guys feel differently. And then Dandelion's like, we're not barbarians. Obviously, we also think women can do what they want to with their bodies. And it's like,
in the 90s.
Isn't it great that we all I know it's charming, but it is really funny how clear they are right off the bat.
I think it just reads that way because of the time that we live in, but like he's tongue-in-cheek with the hyper-specific stuff like earlier with the Lodge of Sorceresses being like, men, they're too weak-willed. Like he's very on the nose with his humor sometimes, and I think this is just another one of those. Just reads different now. And it didn't bother me. What did bother me, however, was in the show, Milva just out and says, oh, by the way, guys, I'm pregnant, because she's quirky or something. And she's like, what, have anything to say about it? But in this, she's like deeply, she doesn't want them to know because she wants to continue on this journey.
No, she's hiding in the woods
them.
And not allowing anyone to see her until Regis comes back and is like, by the way, okay.
Yeah, and he's like, by the way, Geralt, like I made her the abortion thing. I'm not going to give it to her unless she asks again, because I don't want to pressure her into this, but I think you should talk to her because like you two are close. She's been on this journey longer than I have.
And the big thing is too, is even if she does take the tonic, she's still going to be not able to ride a horse for quite some time. So no matter what her choice is, she's not going to be gratified by the instant ability to do what she set out to do. And so no matter what, she has to think of what is her long-term preference. Does she want this child or does she not? And she ends up opening up to Geralt about this. And I thought I really liked the scene. She explains how the sexual encounter that she had with the father's child was between two different elves that she had rescued or like been involved with in a rescue. And it was wasn't it like a ceremony of some sort, or like a,
I think it was more orgy with dubious consent style.
Yeah, like you got the sense that she didn't really want to be like a part of this. It was not quite consensual.
I agree. Okay, so that's what I took away from it, was the idea of this like ceremony-esque thing. And so it even makes even more sense in a weird way, not in a weird way, I think, but like in a queer way, as in like a strange way, the way it comes back around, that she feels indebted to this child she has not had, which I think is very like a great token to her character, as far as like understanding how empathetic she is and how great of a character she really is. She feels she needs to balance the scales, despite the fact that she owes this fetus nothing, and she doesn't want it.
I think it's, so the thing about it is that I think it's a very complex look at it, and it's interesting because she does have ambiguous feelings about it and its conception. And I think and I did clown on Sapkowski because I just think it's funny how outspoken they all are about it. But yes, this is in the 80s, and it is actually kind of important that the story state it's cool if she does not want it. That's up to her. So that then when she is like, maybe I do, maybe I don't, you know that the book is not philosophizing through her. This is a personal choice she's making that is complicated. And it's actually interesting because Chris said,
and Geralt is a dad.
Geralt is a dad, even if not biological, and he has the perspective of someone who has lost their child. And the point is made, Regis makes, that they're all kind of like, not fathers per se, but they have the responsibility. They have to kind of take, this child will have an impact on how they think about the things, and so they're temporarily cast in the role of fathers. And so it's very important that the narrative is clear that, like, okay, you're a dad, but you don't get to decide this thing. Again, it's a very kind of pro-choice message.
Chris M. does mention, though, more clarifyingly, that no, they were on the run and had a moment where they were afraid and did it as a way to assuage their fears and celebrate that they're still alive. Milva didn't understand all of it, but did participate, which is also the way I still gathered it. It wasn't like against will, but it wasn't like fully understanding what was happening.
Yeah, and she mentioned that she was a little bit afraid during the moment.
The thing is, the way she describes it is very passive, like it's a thing that happened to her.
Yeah.
And so there is a little bit of like that's odd feeling to it. But yes, like in text, it's...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely have to actually genuinely reread it as opposed to listen to it while I'm making my Thanksgiving dinner.
You keep talking about this dinner, and yet I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if I believe you.
My mother-in-law's sister gnawed on the bones of the turkey I made, and I have never seen her so much as eat more than a general handful of nuts.
I got Chinese fried rice
in my presence. And as a Hispanic woman, it makes me very, not me as a Hispanic.
Wait a minute.
As a Hispanic woman, it gratifies me so much that I got her to gnaw on cartilage. That's how yummy my turkey was.
So funny.
Anyway, there's a big attack, and so they're trying to cross the river. And there's attacks on both sides. Real Nilfgaard this time.
We should state where Milva ends up with it, which is that...
which happens after this, right? Or are you still talking about...
No, it happens before.
Okay.
Doesn't it?
Well, are you talking about the miscarriage, or...?
Well, no, I was going to talk about her decision to be like...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, her decision is like, I'm going to keep it, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's actually kind of a nice moment where Geralt takes... Regis aside and is like, hey, we got to go this other way because we need to keep her with us. He doesn't say that, but Regis is like, you're a softie on the inside. And there was this whole hilarious scene where, when this was first being discussed, where Regis and when they're trying to figure out who should go talk to her about whether she wants to take this aborticant or not. And there's this whole thing where Regis and Geralt know what the other is talking about. Kier kind of knows what they're talking about, and Dandelion doesn't and wants them to explain, but none of them want to explain to him. And I'm with him. Just say the thing. What is this? He's getting so annoyed over time, and I thought it was.
I know,
It's again
really
one of the ways the
funny,
book is
actually.
really funny in lots of ways.
And
They're
like
unexpected.
Chris and I were talking about before, there's so many funny moments where Milva is just like, all you guys think about is like humping and sex and girls. She gets so annoyed every time they start like just talking about stuff like that, and it's hilarious. I
That's
love
good
it.
stuff. But yes, okay. So they are going to cross a river. There's some stuff with Nilfgaard. There's some fighting. There's a battle. Cahir and Geralt rally the troops and
They fight alongside each
battle.
other.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually kind of epic. It is a little bit of
It
an
is.
epic battle where you're like, oh, cool, this is really cool. At the end, we figure out that Geralt, this whole time, who's been called Geralt of Rivia, he just picked it because it sounded like a good place. But he gets knighted Sir Geralt of Rivia because that's who was fighting there. Is this really badass
Mev,
lord
who just,
lady
who
just
she's
lost
the
a bunch
queen.
of teeth?
She was on her teeth and got punched out. The narrator does such a good job of like talking as if he just lost a bunch of teeth. Like I knight you for Geralt. Like,
And Chris M makes a really great point, which I do love.
Yeah.
Again, they go back to deaths because Geralt says he thought he would pay anything to get Ciri back, but now he knows he's not willing to sacrifice Milva and her child for this. Which is, again, like, I think that goes back to the whole idea of the dwarf. I'm forgetting his name, even though I have a
Zoltan
crush on him.
Cool.
Zoltan Cool.
Zoltan Shive.
Zoltan Cool. He earlier, Will mentioned this, but he goes and he pilfers from another, what's the word?
Well, okay, so what happened is that basically when they meet up again at some point and then they leave again, him and Geralt have a last conversation where he goes, Geralt, you think I'm a good guy, but I'm not. Right before we met,
I wasn't even
I had
thinking
taken
about
some
that
stuff
part.
from some dead person, so really I'm going to start my shop without all this stuff. You shouldn't think so highly of me. And Geralt is like, but I still do. You're a cool bro. And he's like, fine, here, have my sword. And he gives him a super good sword.
Was not thinking about that. That's a whole other point to make almost, but more so earlier on where he pilfers from another like fugitive group. And he's like, I had to make a decision on whether or not I'd be willing to support the people closest to me in lieu of other people who are not close to me and which I would prefer to fight for, either fight for the equal good, which would help nobody, or fight for the general good, which is the general is closest to me, which that I can help and have power over helping, and which I will. And Geralt makes that choice, but in a weird way. It's because you would think it would be Ciri in that choice because she is the stepdaughter basically, but instead he makes it for and so it's an inversion of that concept where it is beyond the general good. It is the good for the many. And I think that's a weird message to make because it's both saying one of the many theses of this novel while contradicting it. And saying, but yeah, you can still make a choice that is better for the all. And, or it's not really contradicting it, it's elucidating it.
I mean, I think so. I think it's also something that Geralt goes back and forth on a lot in the books is like how much can he help other people versus his job? Like how much is he doing good versus doing a job? He goes, he talks about not being able to be neutral at a certain point. I think it was he talks about that a lot.
Yeah, it's
I read that as Zoltan Shill, and I was like, how dare you? But no, Chris Simon said Zoltan Seal deserves a mention. The description on it was so funny. Confusion to the Whoresons. That's the sword. But okay. Are we forgetting anything, Val, or is that it?
That's how the book ends with because there was a moment earlier when Geralt like kind of joked about choosing like a knight's name for himself earlier, so it's a little bit funny that he gets knighted at the end. So he has like a little bitter laugh about it. But that's how it ends. And we've got our little company now, and I thought it was a fun read. I really liked, especially all the stuff with Regis and the vampire lore, especially with the addiction, the friendships. Like it's so good, and I adore these books so much.
The thing is, like, the books are just a good time. It's a good time to read. It's a pretty nice slice of life, honestly, even if it's not necessarily cozy. It's a weird place to put it in the series, but partly because we're not the main
structure
plot
of them are
the
messy.
series.
It's like these books are structured
They're very
strangely
messy.
all throughout.
And
but
also,
it
we
doesn't
started
take
this
away
with 2 short story collections, so there's a certain extent to which we're like, whatever.
But you
We're
know
here
what's
for
weird?
just the story, not necessarily a well put together plot.
It still doesn't really matter though. Because one thing I mean, I might be wrong in this. Again, it's my first time reading through this series, so that's not like appropriate for like a certain statement level of like certainty. But through this, it has always felt like a character study, even from the beginning, where it's a character study of specific different character tropes and then going from the character tropes into specific archetypes that, I mean, you can still say an archetype is a trope. But I would say an archetype is a subcategory of a trope. And from there into really specific character types. And there is no overarching plot to this novel that really engages me so much as the characters themselves. And so what I think the really winning feature of everything at the end of the day, whether it's the short stories, which feel complete because they're short and they feel like a little bow on top because it's an inversion of something, but with like unique characters, and so you get like a nice little, or whether you get the complicated meanderings of the novels, regardless, you get a character study across the way, across several different types of characters. And it is really successful in bringing you both interesting, engaging, which you could confluent as the same, dynamic, which you could also do as the same, and at the end of the day, like flawed, but still all those 3 make up for that final 4. And this is like a really great book series so far, like regardless. And it does always feel like coming home in a weird way. And that's what really makes it feel really good, even with a translation such as that from Polish to English.
Yeah. He's just really good at writing characters, and it makes the world feel real. Like, that's what makes this whole series for me.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the next ones, because people keep saying about how it's going to be darker.
Kyle says Tower of Swallows he recently read it. He says Tower of Swallows was maybe his favorite on this reread. So
people have said that, that it's one of the better ones.
About Baptism of Fire, and I didn't love this book. Like, it was
this is a controversial one. People either love it or hate it. It's either too slow and kind of boring, or they adore. Like, it's either or.
I didn't find it either. It didn't do anything. It didn't go the high up or the high down that would make me feel either way, negatively or positively to it. It just did.
To be honest, you can kind of just skip this book. Like, if you were in a
do
hurry.
That. Regis, no, it's important. Everyone, don't listen to them.
I don't know if I could say
Everyone shut up. Everyone shut up.
I don't think anything. I think it was all plot cul-de-sac. All right, thank you all. We are not. We already read it, so we can't skip it. But we're going to be reading Tower of Swallows, I think, next month. I would say read along with us, but only Chris will be doing that. Chris, you're a real one.
Shout out, Chris.
We will move our live streams. She went to sleep. We will move our. Though yes, it's nice that she's here too.
I just saw 2, so that's why I presumed.
That's her. That was her. So no, we will communicate with you, Chris, to make sure it can be at a time that works for you. And thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.